and welcome to another episode of Nerd Age, where we discuss everything nerdy. My name is Mick, and with me, as always, are my co-hosts Josh.
What's up?
Jonah.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hi guys.
And Corey.
Hey, guys.
So you all right?
That was weird.
Need a stop drop?
Oh, hi, guys.
Smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. That's the voice it gets you.
That's, yeah. I mean, if that's what you want, then, yeah. Good on you.
Well,
You're right.
yeah, we're good.
Other than your sore throat, how was your week?
Pretty good. I went to watch Ghostbusters. It was awesome.
Oh, nice.
And then Corey and I watched on Thanksgiving. Corey and
Was it Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanksgiving night.
That's right.
Corey and I, Bree and Melissa, and I guess Maya was there too.
Maya was there.
We watched West Side Story.
Oh.
So I've never watched it before, and so that was the first time I've ever.
It's pretty legit.
Did you feel like dancing afterwards? Dance fighting?
They were just doing pirouettes all over the place. The snap was crazy. Must have been cool to snap back then, like really cool. The whistling, yeah. The knife fight.
Do you know what
Dude, that's
Maya's
what
been
gangs
calling
were
me
like.
now?
What?
Maya's been, when I tell her to do something, she goes, "You got it, Daddy-o."
Yeah, good.
That's awesome.
That's what I was trying to get her to do, but then she kept calling you poopy or something. I was like, that's not.
Close enough, you know.
It was
I'm
pretty
sure that was in the rough draft.
It was pretty
of the
funny. I was like,
film, right?
Maya, when he comes down, call him Daddy-o. And he comes down. Maya's like, hey, poopy daddy or something like that. And Jonah's like, hey. And I'm like, Maya. But yeah, no, it was fun. It was very long. I was very surprised how long it was. The intro itself was like longer than like 5 minutes. It was
Yeah.
like, what are we? It was just like it felt like a Broadway show in a movie, which is cool. Like back then, you know, I'm sure everyone was super stoked, but yeah, it was cool. The music was good.
Yeah, we had, Bree wanted to see it, getting ready for she's watched it before, but she wanted Corey to see it,
Yeah.
getting ready for the Steven Spielberg remake,
Yeah.
which is coming. So then afterwards, we watched the trailer. And apparently there's a second trailer. I only watched the first one, but it actually looks really close. Like they're being really faithful to it, which I was a little like apprehensive that they wouldn't. But from the trailer, it looks like they're following a lot of the
So that's something
same things
that you like.
Yeah, I really want to see this new one because West Side Story is one of my favorite movies. So
Yeah, I think
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
I love
Top
West
10.
Side Story.
Must be one of those things where you like since you grew up
Yeah.
on it.
Well, yeah. But it's just, it's good.
Would it be top 10?
The top 10s are weird because then it's hard to be because then you
Wow.
have
Back
do
and down.
trilogies count?
Count.
Like, do I count? Does one movie of the Lord of the Rings count, or do you have to do all three count as one? You know, like everyone has
It's
their
tough.
different rules. So it depends. I'd have to think about it.
It's rough.
But it is one of my favorite movies. I love watching that movie.
Cool. What about you, Josh? What did you do this week?
not a whole lot. Ate a lot of food.
Oh yeah, Thanksgiving. We had Thanksgiving last week.
Yeah, we're all a little fatter.
Yeah. For a
Better
while.
than normal.
Since last week.
Better than normal, yeah.
It was a little harder to get us all on the shot because we were a little wider.
This is the new wide angle lens we have here.
But yeah,
Fishbowl action.
not a whole lot. Just ate some food. I watched lots of documentaries. I watched the Beatles Get Back
Oh,
documentary.
yeah? Was that good?
It's very long. So
Isn't it like 3 episodes or something?
It's 3 episodes, 2.5 hours each episode.
No.
So
Dang.
if you
What?
I thought it was going to be like a straight up like documentary. Let's narrate it. It's just 100%.
Like,
We have a date. We need to play a live show by this date, and it goes day by day.
Wow.
And it's just them in the studio talking.
I mean, I bet
Recording.
if you're a huge Beatles fan, you're like loving it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I would say if you really like the Beatles, you'll really enjoy it. It was a little long for me.
Yeah.
Also, Yoko sings in all 3 episodes.
Oh, no.
And if you've ever heard Yoko Ono sing, it's like a dying pig, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you ever heard her, Corey?
No.
Oof.
have you ever
It's
heard
rough.
of Dying Pig?
No.
That's literally
You're
her.
lucky.
She
Wow.
just-
New experiences for me.
But there's some really cool moments in there. Like you get to see Paul McCartney like trying to figure out.
Was that the part? Did they go over that thing where they're like, I want to do a Christmas song? And they're like, no. Was that a thing in that
I don't think
documentary?
I didn't see it in that one.
I just saw a post on Twitter about that. But
I didn't know.
Maybe I missed
I
it.
didn't know all three of the. I didn't know it was all out yet. I thought they were just doing like first part was out on Disney Plus.
They released it 3 days in a row, basically.
Oh, okay.
Thanksgiving and then the 2 days after. But yeah, you get to see Paul McCartney figure out Get Back. Like he's just kind of just like playing. And the star of the show is Ringo, obviously. Dude's worthless.
yeah,
Absolutely worthless, dude.
he's a role filler.
Don't say that to Joel. Joel will be like,
Dude,
no, Ringo has
genius.
that. Like the people I talk to, they're like, oh, for drummers, like I'm like, yeah, I get it.
It's not.
Mick, actually, maybe Mick also thinks that.
Really?
Maybe,
We've had multiple conversations.
That's
No,
what
no,
his-
no.
At some points though, like I kind of convince you, and you're like, okay, maybe, but then we'll talk again. And you're like, no, I take it back.
Absolutely worthless. That's my one takeaway from the whole documentary. I'm like, you could have replaced any drummer.
Anyone could have filled that role.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
But yeah, I mean,
Except you wouldn't get Yellow Submarine.
it's true.
Sure.
Yeah, but also he's kind of like, it's his fault that they have to write 14 songs in 14 days because he's,
Ringo's?
because their deadline is because he has to go act in a movie. What is it, like The Magic Christian or something like that? Some stupid movie that he was in. So they're on this deadline because of him. I actually saw someone on Twitter was like, I love the fact that they're on this deadline because stupid Ringo, and all he does is sit on his stupid drum set and doesn't contribute anything. Like,
most simple beats.
Literally, like George and Paul and John are like arguing about stuff, and Ringo's just like
Sounds good to me.
I mean, that's
just
good.
like chilling in the background. You're like, all right, cool.
It's better that he just keeps quiet,
Yeah.
honestly.
Have you watched it, Mick?
I have not watched it yet.
Because you're a big Beatles fan, right?
I'm a big video fan, but yep.
That little fan.
Yep.
Yeah,
Me too, dude.
I mean, like I said, it's pretty long,
Yeah.
but just like seeing them interact together is pretty like cool.
I might watch some
It's
of it.
kind of like Peter Jackson did the World
Shall
War
Not
One.
Grow Old.
Yeah, They Shall Not Grow Old. So that was just like footage and not any narration or anything. It was just basically footage. So is it kind of like similar where it's just like footage
it's exactly
of them going
the same.
through?
Yeah. So, and that's why he actually, when he released that, they reached out to him. They were like, "Hey, we want you to remaster this 60 hours of footage that was in the vault."
Wow.
So yeah, it's basically
cool.
it goes day by day. They kind of try to make kind of a narrative, like this is our goal in the end, and then there's text that comes up like,
Oh, okay.
"Oh, this is they'll
There's
put up
Ringo
text.
sitting on his
there's
stupid
Ringo,
drum set.
idiot."
Practicing his lines for
There's
his
Yoko
upcoming
screaming
role.
again.
Ringo outlived all of them.
So there's no narrator or anything.
Nope. It's just literally, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. If you like the Beatles, I'd recommend it. Crystal hates the Beatles, and so she was like, it didn't help that she's like, "What are you listening to? Like, why are they screaming?" And I'm like, "It's
Yeah,
Yoko,
that's
that's Yoko Ono."
Oh gosh, that's the dead pig, dude.
Yeah. Also, she's in every shot.
Oh, I mean, dying pig.
She's just sitting there the whole time.
Destroyed the Beatles.
They even kind of talk about it a little bit, which is interesting.
Like Peter Jackson comes out, he's like, she destroyed
She's
the
the
Beatles.
reason. Yeah.
Change the ring.
But yeah, no, it's a good watch if you like the Beatles.
Yeah.
I would recommend it.
I heard there was some controversy from Disney with wanting them to like clean up the language.
Oh, really?
Yeah, was there any
Stupid.
No,
any
I mean,
of that, or
not really. Not that I remember at all. They maybe swear a couple times, but it's like,
Speaking of like controversy with a platform like that, HBO Max put the Birds of Prey rated R version, but they cleaned it up. So you can look online.
It's rated R.
They accidentally put the one that was for cable.
oh, okay.
They have like Black Mask, instead of saying the F word, he's like fruit bats or whatever. Like, where you can see his mouth move.
Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But they have, the shot
Freak
where
you.
Monkey fighting.
You know where Harley Quinn is like in the bar and she like flips off the camera,
on like
right?
snaps that guy's legs.
They had the picture is they basically just duplicated this finger over
peace
here
sign?
and made 2 peace signs,
Yeah.
but it's the same finger.
Heck yeah, dude.
And so it looks like so awkward. Like you can see the still. It's like people are like, "What is this? This looks terrible."
I love
So it's
it.
just like it's pretty funny that.
Are they gonna switch it?
But
then?
they apologized and said, "Oh, it was an accident. We didn't mean to." But people were like, "What? Who does
I
that?"
was gonna say that's like, I mean, if they meant to do that, that would be so weird because there's some real graphic stuff on HBO.
Yeah. Well, it's just kind of funny that like HBO Max rated R version on this like
Can't flip people off.
Yeah, fiddlesticks.
PG-14.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
Cool. Nice. Well, sounds like a good week. Glad you guys had fun.
Can I make a public apology real fast?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Okay. Do you know what Golden Sun, Dark what is it? Dark Age? Dark Dawn is, Corey?
No.
Okay.
Shoot.
Well-
Do we miss an announcement for
No.
Oh.
So this is Golden Sun was one of our favorite games on the Game Boy Advance. They
Yep.
came out with a DS version of it.
Huh?
Frankly, wasn't that great. But for the longest time, I've been like, where is my copy of Golden Sun, Dark Dawn? And I'm like, pretty sure I lent it to Corey and I never got it back. Right? So for the longest time, I've been
holding
thinking
this
that.
grudge.
Just, just randomly thinking about it. And then I'm hanging out with at Luso's house the other day.
Yeah.
He's in town. We're at his parents' house. We start going through his drawers of
All
like
his
old
old
stuff,
stuff.
all this old stuff there. He's pulling out Game Boy Advance games. And he pulls out the case for Golden Sun, Dark Dawn. And I'm like,
You son of a bee.
that's my game. And he's like, oh my gosh, it is. And I was like, I've been blaming Corey all these years for not having that. And he's the culprit. So, hey, my bad, bro.
Wow.
Nothing to apologize
Luso's,
I'm getting a little misty.
I'm gonna tear
over
up
here.
over here.
Getting misty
Let's hug
over
it
here.
out.
for. That's a good story.
It's like me at Ghostbusters.
That's a redemption arc.
It is.
I used to be the bad guy. He used to hate me, man.
You know what the
That's
problem
why he
is?
got rid of your Nintendo.
That's why he kicked me off, dude.
You know what the problem is? It
you're
was
like
just the
that.
case. He couldn't find the game.
Really? Oh no.
Oh,
So he even lost the
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
he's dead to you then,
That
right?
sucks, dude.
That's it.
Good thing,
R.I.P. Josh
good thing he
Lusso.
doesn't live here, dude. Otherwise,
Yeah.
he'd be dead, dude. Shoot.
Anyway, sorry, I just had to get that
No,
off my
no,
chest.
well, I understand.
That's good,
That's
dude.
perfect segue to go into the news now.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do it.
News time.
Well, I don't have much this week. Just a few things. We talked about the Spider-Man. Spider-Man tickets, No Way Home went on sale today or at midnight, whatever,
Midnight, yeah.
yesterday. And then they crashed. Like all the sites were down. They're apparently, people are saying like this is going to be the biggest movie since the pandemic, which is probably pretty cool that people are starting to go back
That's
to
good.
theaters.
That's good for everyone.
And then like there's insane people are selling tickets on eBay for like $2,000, like something that's ridiculous, which is like, why would you wait an extra day? Like you don't
Right.
need to
You gotta
see
watch
it
it right away.
opening day, you know?
You have to.
They're selling them, but are people actually buying?
I don't
Probably
know.
not.
Yeah.
I bet there are people.
Maybe in
buying them.
LA. Maybe in LA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a place where they got that money.
So that's what I had for the news, just talking about that. And also the producer of the Spider-Man movie said that they are going to do a new trilogy after this one with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And it's going to be him becoming Spider-Man after
What have we
Iron
been
Man.
doing this
I
whole
know,
time?
well, because he's been more like that.
I know.
Iron Man
Iron
Jr.
Spider, yeah.
So I assume like he's going to lose the Iron Man tech and he's going to be forced to kind of do his own thing.
Good.
Which is kind of what I've wanted. That's why he's not my favorite Spider-Man, because he doesn't feel like Spider-Man. So,
It's because he's a spoiled brat, dude.
well, I just think he like the suit does everything
crush,
for him.
yeah.
He didn't earn it.
And so I think it's kind of cool that maybe he's going to learn from these other Spider-Men what it is to be
Well,
a Spider-Man. a
alleged.
They weren't in the
Spider-Man.
trailer, so they're not in the movie.
Alleged other Spider-Man.
Right. So yeah, do you guys have any comments on that?
I mean, like you said, that's cool. That I mean, it probably will be the biggest movie since the start of the pandemic. So, and I'm a big cheerleader for the movie theaters and going to see movies in the theaters.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's great. That's good to hear.
Dang.
Yeah, not surprising that it crashed the sites either.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens with big movies every time.
It hasn't happened recently though, just because of the. I feel like with Avengers and Star Wars movies, like that was happening constantly. But since COVID happened, like it didn't happen with Dune. Like this is kind of this is kind of the first one that's like, okay, things are getting back to that.
It's
think
also
that-
Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
Yeah. Yeah. But, what do you guys think?
I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm going to repeat everything you guys said.
Cool.
I don't like, I like him as Spider-Man, but he hasn't felt like Spider-Man just because of the fact that it's like, and I like Homecoming, but the fact that Iron Man's there the whole time, I think takes away from that movie. So I think it'll be cool to have like an actual Spider-Man movie instead of like Spider-Man and the Avengers and whoever else, you know.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword is how you say it, because it's cool that he is involved with other Marvel characters. That's how it is in the comics, and that's always been a cool aspect of the comics. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I want a Spider-Man story.
Yeah.
I want a Peter Parker story. And these past 2 movies have been kind of lacking.
Yeah.
So
I think the good news is that it's going to be a different story. Like, it's not going to be the same old Aunt May and Uncle Owen. What was his name?
Uncle Ben.
What was his name?
Aunt Peru.
Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben. That's right. Like, it's not that same old story over and over. So I think it's good. I think it's a positive note, and I think that Spider-Man is well loved. So yeah, it'd be nice to kind of prune his wings a little bit and let him, you know, get down and dirty and do his own thing and have his own story. So that'd be good.
Go ahead.
There was a report like 2 years ago about
We're going way back.
about the possibility of Sony wanting to do 3 separate trilogies with Tom Holland. So first trilogy,
3
him
separate.
him in high school. Second, him kind of in college, and then third,
Him dead.
Yeah, grown up adult. Is that something you guys would want to see all the way through, or
9
is that getting a bit too much?
I think the problem is Tom Holland's going to look the same throughout. So I'm not going to buy that he's a grown-up.
I'll buy the middle one,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Maybe the high school one. He looks pretty young.
I would be okay with it. It depends on what they do in these next 3, because I haven't liked the first 3. Like the Spider-Man, the Iron Man Jr., like everyone knows that's kind of I don't like it.
Yeah.
If the middle ones, the next 3 are like, okay, this feels more like Spider-Man, I can get behind it. But it'll all depend on what they kind of do. Because if it's more of the same, I don't want to see 9 movies. I'd rather they get a new Spider-Man, or they do Andrew Garfield trilogy.
It seems like his future is hinging a lot on this movie to kind of define him as a character and how he acts.
Yeah.
Like, how does he overcome this whole big whole, like, oh, everyone knows me, and oh, it's so weird being a superhero and all that stuff that he's having difficulties with, which whatever this movie's going to be about, that's going to be highlighting it. But I think this movie is very important to the future plans, for sure. I think Zendaya needs to die.
Let's get real Mary Jane.
Is that how you
up in
pronounce it? Zendaya?
Zendaya. Zendaya.
Gotta die.
Zendaya's gonna die. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, like, something needs to happen.
There needs to be
for him to
stakes.
grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There have been like
needs
rumors
stakes.
about. I don't know much about I think his name is Ned Leeds in the movies.
Ned Flanders.
Oh, because he's supposed to be
Yes.
Hobgoblin.
He's supposed to turn into Hobgoblin at some point. So I'm wondering if they're going to do stuff with that.
I can't see him
What?
becoming
Hobgoblin. Yeah.
Him?
yeah.
intimidating. I know, intimidating.
I could see him as that mole guy. Remember that mole guy from
Incredibles.
Incredibles? Yeah, I can see him as that guy.
The Underbinder.
And by the way, I know you guys were avoiding TV spots, but did you see the
Nope.
basically the car commercial one? It was terrible.
I don't think so.
Basically, he's like, there's no buildings, and he's like, all right, I gotta go. And Spider-Man, he shoots it out in the air, and he's like in the middle of like the Midwest, basically, and there's no
Did they do that
buildings.
joke in the first movie?
I'm probably.
They're just rehashed.
And then like Ned comes by and picks him up in this brand new car,
in his glider.
and it's like, okay, hey, I came to get you, and they're just like driving, and they're just showing off the car. I'm just like, what
Nice.
are we doing? I mean, they're getting their bag, but like, dude, oh my gosh, how much did they pay to get a TV spot for a movie? Like, that's crazy. So it was kind of funny. I've been avoiding them except for that one because someone said this is kind of ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I feel like there's a lot.
and they didn't reveal anything. It was just stupid, cheesy.
You mean
That's-
Tobey
that's when they
Maguire and
show
Andrew
Tobey
Garfield
Maguire.
were in the back seat?
There was two sets of feet in the back, man, just poking out.
Money shot!
Buddy shot, let's go, Lexus or whatever it was.
Yeah, I feel like they do have a lot of potential too with the Flash character. I think they could do some cool stuff with him.
He's one of the other things I didn't like about the movies. Like, he's like a nerdy bully.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all.
He's like the popular,
He's like popular, but you're like, you don't look like a bully.
I agree with
Like
that.
Tom Holland could easily beat him up.
They're trying to
'cause
adapt
he's
to
Spider-Man.
like the new meta of like
Right.
the social dynamics now.
I prefer Joe Manganiello.
He's like, I'm gonna cyberbully you.
Yeah.
basically. Before we go to Josh and Corey, I think they have some new stuff. I just need to drop this because
I got some.
Drop it, dude.
I need to talk about this.
getting too
Zack
heavy.
Snyder has dropped a Thanksgiving post that he said thankful and had a turkey in it, but then in the background there was the Final Crisis omnibus, and to like his journals that he does. He writes all his concept art and stuff, and so there was that, and so people are saying that he's starting to put out again little
Put it out in the universe.
teases that he's working on some more movies with DC. It's interesting. Final Crisis during Fandom, Jim Lee came out and they did that art thing,
Yeah.
and it was Final Crisis because it was the anniversary. But he said, and we have more surprises, and they censored out what he was saying to the host, and then so people are saying, is it connected there?
Probably.
There's been other people, Clay Staub and Clay Enos, who work on
Two Clays?
yes
No way.
on Zack Snyder's movies. They started posting stuff about the Nightmare, Batmobile, and then other things like that. So people are saying that it's starting to happen. What's the guy's name? Kevin Smith today tweeted
This guy knows what's
he tweeted
up,
at
dude.
Zack Snyder and he said, please, if you're doing anything with Final Crisis, please make sure to
Blink
do
twice.
please she said please make sure to put this line in it, which is
Nice.
they had a commercial for Injustice. Jay and Silent Bob did, and so they make a reference to that. So people are starting to drop these hints, talk about it. So everyone's tweeting "Restore the Snyderverse." So hopefully that happens. It seems to be that
That's really good.
Zack Snyder has said whenever he posts something, he's like, it's always both. It's always art, and there's always a second meaning behind it. He also posted a picture of Wonder Woman when she has the heads cut off of the people in the, and he had like what are those things called? The action
Director
things.
things.
Director cut thing.
Yeah,
The clapper.
the clapper. There it is.
Yeah.
And it had a scene on it written, and people deciphered that it's the scene in Zack Snyder's Justice League where at the end where Darkseid says, we'll do it the old way, ready the Armada. That's the big cliffhanger to like, oh, Darkseid's coming, and so that's the scene that he's referring to. So they're saying that he might continue that. So anyways, I just needed to drop that for my sake, for the sake of my conscience. I share Restore the Snyderverse.
how much do you think of it as like straight up proof that he's already working on it, or how much do you think of it is like him posting to kind of like get hype
Stoke
around
the
it
fires.
to use that to
As
make something
leverage.
as leverage? Thank you.
I think
He's there in the bag. He's got a movies made, baby.
no. What I think is happening is
Been working on it all
I
along.
think because he said wait till the merger, like that the merger's going to happen. The guy Discovery's
Warner
taking
Brothers.
over, and when they had a talk where they labeled Zack Snyder's Justice League as an IP that they could continue.
Cool.
Like that's one of the things they talked
good.
about. They talked about DC, and specifically they mentioned Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Was that at like a holders
Like a
meeting?
shareholders thing, what
Okay.
their plan was. And so Zack Snyder has said, wait till the merger. Right now, nothing can happen. Wait till the merger. I think they've reached out to him and talked about it. And so he's trying to drum up like, hey, there's a possibility. Let's get this trending. Let's get hype about it
That
so
feels
that
pretty
he can
likely.
say. So that's what I'm thinking.
That feels likely.
And so I think there's no point of him putting the Final Crisis
right. What's the
right
point?
back there
Yeah.
when he's doing it. There's a reason for it. And Zack Snyder knows his fans that as soon as they see that, they're going to tweet it and hashtag it. So
Man.
I think there's movement, which I'm excited for.
I just wish they would have posted numbers, streams and
I wonder if they will.
and
with
watch
the-
time
with
after the merger.
yeah.
That'd be cool, but like I doubt that's a priority. But Dude, I wish they
I
did.
mean, stuff has come out
It's gotta be good because they weren't showing it. Either it was really bad or it was really good.
Well,
One of the two, and the odds are probably
the only
really
thing
good.
that I'll say is internationally, they've done it completely different.
Right.
So in international markets, they have really pushed Zack Snyder's Justice League because it's huge. And the international head of the company recently, like a couple months ago, when she was describing HBO Max in Asia and other places, she said we have the global phenomenon, which is Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they had all these clips of
There
it.
you go.
And so internationally they're pushing this whole thing, and in the States it's kind of like downplaying it, but the numbers from around the world, I mean, it broke records in like India, Russia, Canada, in China, it broke up a ton of records. So I think they understand this is not just in the US, like regardless of what the numbers were here, around the world the numbers were huge. And the numbers that they put out for the United States didn't include the first 2 days of when it premiered. So it makes no sense.
Which is where most watches are.
Yes.
Honestly, like the biggest burst. I mean, you don't say phenomenon lightly. You know what I
True
mean?
that. I think we need a little like sign up that says, you know, how many days since we've talked about Zack Snyder. And
like a chalkboard?
We're resetting it
Yeah,
now. 'Cause we went
last
last
week I
week
did it.
without talking about it, and now we're back on.
Yeah. That's a great
We
idea.
had a 1 week streak going. So.
Oh, there we go.
All right, erase it. Reset
Tune in,
the timer.
tune in next week for more Snyder Cut
That's right.
talk.
Every week.
Choop, what do you got?
Real quick, I know we talked about the game Blood Hunt before. So they had an open kind of beta for testing for PC, and it's coming to
Did
an
they?
end. Yeah, it was like their first season, basically, what they called. And then they basically said that their release on consoles is pushed out to early 2022.
Do you know if it was only pre-order or
That's
was it like open beta?
I think it was an open beta. The way
Frick, I
they
should've
phrased
played
it, I think, was, what do they call it? Public early access founders season.
I mean, it's a free-to-play game,
Yeah.
so it probably was open. Dang it.
But so they're
I
pushing
missed
out
it.
their official release to early 2022.
I should have played it.
This is like the
bad,
multiple
boys.
vampire.
Yeah, the other vampire
fractions,
things.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think both you and I, Mick, had
Yeah.
mentioned like, isn't it like a board game or
So
based off?
it's
of,
a table RPG
Yeah.
like D&D. Vampire the Masquerade is like a D&D, but vampire,
Right.
and more like horror
Yeah.
themed. So that's cool. I mean, hey, it seems very different, but I mean, if it's free to play, you might as well try
might
it.
give it a
see
shot.
what's up. Yeah.
And then the other thing I had was the president of Amazon Studios had some things to say about the new Lord of the Rings show. So Wheel of Time just premiered this month. So that's based off another.
Have you read the book?
I haven't.
Which, by the way, I'm gonna start watching that because Bree's like, you
I heard
should
it was
watch
garbage.
this. Really?
I've actually
From
heard,
not people that I know.
Okay.
But like people from like.
I mean,
on
I'm
the
gonna try
internet.
out like the first two and see
I've heard
what's
it's
up.
actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Bree's also very easy to please.
Yeah.
So
See,
like to
I
be
mean,
fair, it might be
Did Bree
trash.
tell both of you it was
Crystal
good?
and Bree.
It's just her. Yeah.
A little background. Crystal and Bree both really like fantasy books.
They like the same
so
stuff.
if
Okay.
it's a
Was
show
it
about-
Crystal who told you?
No, well, I
okay.
was already interested in watching it, but
Okay.
Crystal's reading the first book now. So once she gets through that, then we'll
And
start.
that's on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Amazon Prime.
I'm sorry.
It almost
That's
came
on
out my
Amazon?
nose. That's on my Amazon.
So yeah,
Oh,
with
man.
Wheel of Time, I guess it broke a lot of records for streaming on Amazon. So it was like one of the
Wow.
most watched shows on Amazon, and they have The Boys. So that's I guess
We keep
somewhat
saying
significant.
Amazon. So that, Amazon.
Yeah, so that we
If they want to sponsor
yeah
us.
exactly. If
Yes.
Amazon.
if Jeffy B wants to write a check,
Absolutely.
I'm all
I don't think
ears.
he'd-
If he gets
Don't
back
think
from
he could
space.
afford it though. You know.
So anyway, so
Has he seen this room?
this was her quote about the Amazon show. She said, "All systems are go on that show, Lord of the Rings. It looks absolutely incredible. We know our global audience is hungry for elevated fantasy and shows based on beloved IP. We see that with Wheel of Time, and the Lord of the Rings will be the centerpiece of our year. As always with a beloved IP, you could get some criticism about not staying exactly true to people's visions of what the series should look like as it comes to life. We are in touch with the core fans of the novels, and we know the majority of them are really excited and happy. You should expect more of the high-quality, addictive storytelling that stays true to the original IP, but also brings new, original ideas and storylines."
Who are these core fans that they talk about.
I mean, that's. I think that's just. You know what I mean? That's just your basic.
Am I a core fan? Are you a core fan?
Bro,
Right.
she didn't talk to me, man. I'm a core fan.
So, what do you guys think about what she said?
It's a pretty stereotypical thing that you're going to say. It's a PR.
I'm walking the.
Yeah, for sure.
The line.
You want to give people who are big fans of the IP, the original IP, confidence, and so that's what she's trying to do here. It's like we're going to be true to it, but we're going to put a little bit of new spin on it. It's like that, ding, 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 red flag. But hey, it might be amazing. You know,
I guess I'll play devil's advocate because at the same time, the Lord of the Rings films also. They were like, I think it's true as you could be to the books and still be amazing.
In movie
Right.
form.
Yeah, in movie form. They did add and take away a couple things here and there.
They ruined Faramir, which was I think their biggest issue.
I think so too. Yeah.
Oh, I was not aware that you.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I dislike about the Lord, and I love those movies.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is
Top 10.
from my favorite character.
Is that the trilogy? That just count as one movie, or
my favorite character in the books is Faramir, because I think he's like the complete opposite of Boromir.
Yeah,
and
that's
and in the movies they make him more like Boromir, and at the end he kind of takes him to Osgiliath, which doesn't happen in the books.
Right.
And then he's like sees Sam's speech, and then he's like, we finally understand each other, and it's like what? And to me, they completely destroyed his character. Now I still love those movies, but to me, that's with the liberty, I think, and that's where it goes in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I think other things they did were fine, the changes, but that one to me is like,
yeah, I understand that. To me, it makes sense why they changed it. But yeah, I get that.
I mean, the good part for these guys is that they have a lot more creative liberty because there's just not as much content for it.
Right.
Like there's not like page by page, like explicit detail of everything, but all this stuff comes from the Silmarillion, right? But it's generalization.
So that's the thing, is that no one really knows what they're going based off of. They could be going off the appendices, but they've already shown things from the Silmarillion. So
but even then, it's not even that detailed, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean, they have a lot
it's like a
of
history
content, but they do have to fill in. They will have to fill in to make it to the show more interesting.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's fine, as long as they don't do something ridiculous over the top. Like one of the things that Peter Jackson was going to do was Arwen was going to show up at Helm's Deep instead of Haldir. And I think the picture leaked somehow and people were upset about it.
She got ripped apart.
And so they ended up changing it.
the other thing they were going to do is they were going to have Aragorn actually fight Sauron, like he was going to physically.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was
really?
and then they decided not to do it. So I think those are kind of things that you're like, and
like at that
Peter Jackson.
like that last scene.
Yeah. So what they did is they filmed it with this Sauron guy, and then I think they wanted to still have Aragorn have some type of heroic battle at the end, so they just put the troll in place.
Yeah.
So that fight that he has was originally with Sauron.
And I love Peter Jackson, but he did do some things in The Hobbit that I feel like similar with George Lucas. When George Lucas got to a point where people didn't want to say no to him, he kind of ran with things, because in the original trilogy, he had ideas and people were like, no, that shouldn't work.
Yeah.
And then in the prequels, it was like he had all yes men that were around him. And I wonder if Peter Jackson had the similar thing with The Hobbit. He did The Lord of the Rings. He made some decisions in The Hobbit that I'm like, that's not good.
Well, I think The Hobbit too also is like a really special circumstances of like the perfect storms over and over again.
Well,
studio interference, Peter Jackson making some bad decisions, and
also him just being into the project late. Like it was
he had no lead time.
But I think that's why then you want to not make changes.
Yeah.
You want to just go with what the book is.
So to bring it back to the go ahead.
Sorry. At the same time though, like I think that there are really good changes that you could do. Like for example, the scoring of the Shire, is that what it's called?
Scourging of the Shire.
Or Scourging of the Shire. I think that was an excellent choice to keep that out of the movie.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's I think the most decisions they made to change things in Lord of the Rings works. For me, the Faramir one doesn't work, but other than that, I'm okay with everything else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he lost me when he cut out Tom Bombadil. I was out.
But the thing is, I don't know. The thing is with Peter Jackson, I feel like whether he deserves it or not, there's kind of like I have trust in him because I saw how he did Lord of the Rings and the care he put into it. I don't know any of these Amazon Prime people, and I feel like they've gotten rid of some of the people that I'm like.
They got rid of Shippy, who's like the Tolkien scholar.
And did they get rid of Howe? I thought they got rid of the artist that
John Howe
that does has done all the artists for all the stuff for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. I thought they got rid of him. So to me, I could be wrong with that, but
I don't think he was ever involved.
He was in the original video. They remember when they released that first video of like this is the talent that's working behind it. He was one of them, and I thought they got rid of him. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me, but I just feel like for me, there's that uneasiness. I'm like, who are these people?
Sure.
What are they doing? And so I don't know.
Yeah.
But
on a scale from 1 to 10, how confident are you in for this series? 1 out of 10, how confident?
I'm being optimistic and I'm saying an 8.
Wow, that's really good.
But I don't know if that's just me being like, no, it's got to be good. So
I'm straight up at a 5.
Yeah, I think I'm more like 6.
I'm just right in the middle. Like it could be amazing, or they could just do some really stupid things that'll really piss me off.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's exciting. A lot of the directors that worked on the Wheel of Time are actually working also on Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
So I think
maybe I'll have to watch
like 3 and 4, episode 3 and 4, and maybe a couple other ones are also directing on the Lord of the Rings show. But yeah, I mean, I understand you have to add story elements. That's fine. But hopefully you don't add ridiculous ones. That's my
like
thing.
Unbelievable and uncharacteristic of the Lord of the Rings IP.
Wouldn't fit with Tolkien's world of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think that's, not to go too much into it, but I do feel like that's kind of the pressure nowadays is like, let's change things just for the sake of changing them. And I'm like, you got to be true to what the creator intended. Yeah. And there's so much information. I bought these books at Costco. They're like Dictionary of Lord of the Rings, a map of all and I've been reading through it, and the amount of information in those is absolutely insane. So I'm like, they have all these histories that Tolkien made, and you can follow that well. There's a ton of information there. It's just going to be if they do, or if they decide to change things for the sake of switching it up or making our creative. We want to create our own thing. That's fine. But if you're doing it just for the sake of we can do it, it makes me a little uneasy.
Yeah. There's certain things like the amount of time that passes in the Silmarillion is like thousands and thousands of years. Yeah. So if they squish it together and move things closer together, I'm not going to be upset. I was like, that didn't happen in that year. You know what I mean? It's like, okay,
it seems
narratively speaking,
that
works for me. Yeah. But there's Lord of the Rings nerds out there that they're going to be so picky. They're so picky about that. But anyway, hopefully it's good. And then real quick, other thing that I just remembered from Lord of the Rings world, What a Workshop, their games division teased that they're working on a new project. And they said in a world that's very dear to our heart.
Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone's like, "Oh, they're making a Lord of the Rings game."
Didn't Weta just get sold?
They got sold for $1.6 billion.
Watch it just be a Lord of like an Aragorn skin in Fortnite.
That would be sick.
Like, watch it just be that, not a game. It's just a skin. Well, I think a little Frodo running around.
They put out basically like a job description for a game designer.
Okay. All right.
So they're just starting, so it's going to take like 10 years for this game to come out.
Yeah, season 6 to 8. Yeah.
Were they involved at all with the Gollum game? Or
I don't think so. I think that was all Warner Brothers.
Is that still coming out?
Yep.
Okay.
That looks pretty interesting.
Once was I.
Anyway, that's all I got for news. Sorry.
Cool. Yeah, I don't think I have anything really, honestly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but I will.
I misspoke.
If the Masquerade game, the vampire game, is still available, I want to try it out, but I don't know if it is. But darn.
Cool.
But yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think it's time to talk about
Arcane.
Because we have all watched it now.
Yeah.
Good job. Hey, pat yourself on the back, man.
Hey, do we want to do a spoiler alert and just go straight into spoilers?
Sure.
Yeah, because
we've already talked plenty about it. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Spoilers for Arcane.
Yeah, I think we should just
All right, who's
go all
first?
out.
Corey, why don't you start us off?
I was thinking about this on the way over here, and I was like, man, there's a lot to say. And but I think we should just start out pretty basic. I think we should just do general feels about it and kind of what we liked about it, what we didn't like. But I think my general, if I had to like title my thesis on this show, is that I think that this show is a current, like compared to all the things in the last like 5 years, I would say that this is probably the closest thing to a masterpiece for me that I've seen in a long time. So I know it's pretty crazy, but yeah, I really feel really strongly about that. I think that the animation's top notch. I think the music's really good, even though some of it I don't dig as much as the other, but you know, they have a really high variance of music, but the general music feel is just spot on. I think the character development's really amazing. I think the way that they make you invested in certain characters, the way, like you were saying early on, like our last episode, you were like, yeah, like I got frustrated on the decisions they make. And like, that's amazing storytelling. You get really invested in a certain character and you're like, don't do that. And you know, they're going to do it. And you're just like pissed, you know? And like, there are several moments in that show where I got goosebumps. I think at the end of the first act, with the bomb and powder, it was just like, I think I will say that the first 3 episodes was the best arc for me. I thought it was a really good arc. But every arc had a really good ending and just the way they get you invested in the characters is just amazing. The voice acting was insane. Like you know how many voice actors I've seen where it doesn't match the character. Like it feels very scripted. It doesn't feel natural. Like every character felt like they were that character. You know,
I have a quick question. I haven't played the game at all, so I don't know anything about the game. But do the characters talk in the game, or is
they have voices? Yeah. But they're not the same voices.
Right, yeah. Okay.
But the general feel of the voice, like Vi, like, you know, being a little bit rougher and you know, a little bit tougher and, you know, all that in Jinx's voice, you know, it's kind of crazy and, you know, and Echoes is cool. But yeah, like all the voices are close. They're just different voice actors. But yeah, I mean, it really shows how much care and time they took in this show to kind of just make sure everything was right. And so that the voice acting was good. The writing was amazing. The marriage of 3D and 2D animations was something that I think upcoming shows that are going to be made now are going to be looking at and kind of ideating on and kind of improving on or doing their own thing, but they're going to be like, oh, you can do 2D and 3D really well and make it look like it belongs together. There's animes that have been done where they're just legit. They don't look like they look right.
Yeah.
You have 3D models into 2D and it just doesn't look right. But this show, it just does it so well. It's crazy. But
Nice.
Yeah. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's like, there's not a single episode that I disliked. There's not a single. I can't honestly think of anything that I was like, I wish I would have done this differently. Everything they set up in the show, they deliver on, and they make bold choices. So there's plenty of times that I was like if you just want to talk about that first end of the first act, where you're like, oh, it's gonna be okay. She's gonna help them, and it's like. She literally murders her friends. You're like, like, okay, that's a strong decision to make.
She's so dumb. You know, everyone's so angry at her. And it's like having that investment in the characters, you're just like, that's great. That's great story writing.
I was the opposite with that, though. I was mad at the reaction to her.
Okay.
Of her being angry
Even though
I was like, she didn't know.
Even though
she
she
didn't
killed
know.
2 people, she killed 2 of their best friends.
Right, but to me, it's like
a
she didn't know.
justified reaction.
Right, but to me, it was like I was the opposite.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I disagree with that because they already told her, like, you've already kind of messed a bunch of stuff up, and she told her, hey, stay here.
Yeah.
So in that moment, she's angry at her because it's like, for one, you didn't listen to me, and 2, you killed our friends because you didn't listen. So it's a moment of weakness where she is like, I'd be pretty freaking upset too. And so she, hides away, like, I'm pissed about this. She's probably going to be like a second later, say, hey, I'm going to go. But then she doesn't get to, right? She gets chloroformed. And then
Right, yeah, she wants to turn
sets
back
off
and help.
that chain reaction within Powder and sets her off on the path. So that really hit hard with me. That scene is just really powerful, and you're like, dang, like
Powder.
I think it helped. I know for you, Corey, it's like seeing the characters is like super helpful for you because you already know them. For me, I think that helped a lot because I had no idea that she was going to turn into this crazy person. So I was just like, oh, what's going to happen to this nice little girl? And then I was like, at the end, I was like, oh, dang, she's going to be crazy.
Was it pretty obvious that she was going to turn into? Is there the character Powder in the game, or is it just she's
Jinx?
Yeah.
But I'm sure you probably.
I wish I was in your guys' shoes. It's a better experience. It really is.
Yeah.
It's like the idea of like knowing the end of a story. Like,
Right.
I wish I didn't know that. It would be a better experience because that would be more. There'd be more weight to it, but it was still amazing. I still loved it.
So that was super. I really enjoyed that. And then I really like them depicting her madness, like just the way they do it with like the crazy drawings, and the music, just that really sharp strings that goes crazy. That's super awesome. And I can't say enough about not only the animation, but the framing of shots.
Dude,
it's awesome. Like there's
it's weird to mention cinematography in an animated thing, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's like something about it.
There are plenty of times that I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. Like I think it's maybe in the second episode someone's loading a bullet in a gun, and then it shows one of the characters coming through it's just awesome. Or even one of those I like shows where I have a moment of like, oh yeah, heck yeah. And one of those was on the bridge when it's dark, and then an echo flies through between both of them, and it's kind of flashing. Yeah. Like that was one of those moments where I was like, "Oh, that's freaking sweet."
Yeah. There's a lot of moments like that.
Yeah. Or even just any like when she gets the fists,
the hex tech.
You're like, oh, okay, that's sweet. But yeah, I mean, awesome overall. Like every character I enjoyed. I like them. Like, yeah, they don't hold any punches. Like I could see if this was a Marvel show, no one would die.
Right.
They wouldn't make any hard decisions, and there would be hardly any character development. But there's plenty of times where you're like, you really didn't have to kill that person, but you straight up murdered them.
Yeah.
And I think the characters are better for it. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I I agree with you. Like a lot of things you said. How they depict her madness, that's one of my favorite things. Like that's one of the things I was going to say is just that was really well done. The cinematography, just how it's shot, it reminded me a lot of Warcraft cinematics, like especially Warcraft 3.
Yeah, where you could take a screenshot and there'd be a poster you put on your back.
And so that to me was kind of like really cool.
Yeah.
Like just thinking stuff like, in Warcraft 3 when Arthas comes home and the bells are ringing and he like walks under the bells and you kind of see him and his cape's flowing and like all that kind of stuff to me just like, I guess because the worlds to me feel similar, kind of like a little modern technology with like old, magic, kind of that kind of stuff. It to me feels very Warcrafty.
It should a little bit. It should.
And so to me, I really enjoyed that. Everything you guys said, I agree with the music. Again, my pet peeve was a lot of the music with voices in it. I didn't like. The one I did like was the Sting, which was the last one. Because I felt like his voice and the way it was done fit.
I also like the goodbye. I like that one actually.
Okay,
like
but
one.
for the most part, those were moments where I was like, I feel if there was a better song picked in that moment, it would have hit better for me. But that's just like a preference thing.
And we both kind of cringed at the whole Imagine Dragons being featured in there and modeled.
And that's
awesome
kind of
for them, but it took me out a little bit. That was a one time.
And I think most people that don't even know what Imagine Dragons look like, they wouldn't even care. But
like,
for me, who I know, I was like, okay, these guys.
Yep.
The other thing I really liked, every character kind of had like a backstory that you could kind of not relate to, but understood them better. So even the villain, I'm terrible with names, so I'm not going to remember the names.
Silco.
But the villain guy, and then the scientist that has the walking stick.
Victor.
So I really liked his story, and then kind of
his story is really good.
When
wasn't
they do
it?
his backstory when he's little, and then I didn't catch who the guy was. I was like, oh, he's just
Singed,
and then I realized later it's like, oh, that's the guy that's doing the
experiments.
The experiments. So that was kind of
what a cool full circle,
right?
All intertwined.
And then even what happens with the girl that likes him
when he dusts her.
when he when that all that stuff was really cool. And even the
I saw this meme where it was like, show me powder, and it's a picture of powder, and it's like, no, the real powder, and it's Jinx, and he's like, no, the real powder, and it's her just
Yeah, I like that. Talking about Victor, I like that scene where he starts walking on the dock, and he like starts running after he gets that's an awesome scene.
Well, I also like the one where it was just subtle things, but like the one where he's up like on that clock tower or whatever, and he's about to kind of kill himself. And he's like, and then Jace comes by, those type of things I just thought were really well done, and they didn't feel like forced. Like you actually felt like the weight of what they were doing.
Yeah.
The same thing with the little smart guy, elder dude that they
Heimerdinger.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't remember names.
I got you, bro. This is the one show I will know every name.
But I thought his arc was cool too.
Like Arcane trivia, okay, bro?
Yeah,
so I can win.
I think if I dominate,
that he gets voted out and all this stuff, all these manipulations going on.
Like, no, dude, Heimerdinger, bro.
But just how that's all done was really cool. One of the things, because we've all been saying good things, one of the things that maybe I didn't get, so Jinx gets blown up, right? And it looks like she's gonna die or she's dead. And then they take her to the doctor dude that does the experiments, and he's like, "Oh, this is gonna be bad," and he like injects her with all this stuff. To me, maybe they explained it in the show, but I don't get why the effects are different for her as opposed to early on when he gives it to that one dude and they just roid out and they become like monster dudes.
Yeah.
When she shows up later, she just kind of like her eyes are different. So I didn't understand that. Or even when they go down to the lower parts and then there's all those people that have like the deformities that are coming out because they're addicted to it.
Yeah.
So that to me was like when she was going to show up, I was expecting her to be like way different.
Mutant eyes.
Yeah. Or something that was like, but to me it felt like she was exactly the same. So I didn't understand. I don't know if they explained it. To me, that was, like...
The pink eyes didn't sell it for you, Jonah?
Oh, no, but I just... I was like...
Crazy enough for you?
For one group, it was like a big difference. And then even when they gave it to the dad guy...
Vander.
Oh, Vander. Yeah, he roided.
Right? He got like turned into a monster and was different, and she didn't. So I didn't know.
So yeah,
and especially because it was like they made a point of saying like I'm gonna have to do a lot of work on her.
Well, yeah, he's like, are you prepared to lose your daughter? Right. So he's a high risk, high reward situation.
Yeah.
They did so I was gonna say also with Victor's backstory, they did an awesome callback to his history. They did a flashback. I thought that was really well done, showing how he's just excluded and he meets Singed.
Yeah.
And so you first see that first hint of what it can do, right? He puts it on that animal to save its life.
Keep it alive.
But it messed it up, right? It mutated it. What I'm assuming it is that like he probably has different versions of it, one to roid out and one to extend life. And I'm assuming it's just a more refined and better version.
Okay.
But you're right.
Because it was
it's not clear.
It was even the thing with the other.
But I think that's for dramatic effect.
Like the lieutenant, she has her arm that's weird.
Yeah.
Because of that.
So they've adapted
that thing. Mm-hmm. So I was just expecting her to have like a droopy eye or something that may,
For sure.
But
her veins pop in or something.
Right. But I was like, oh, her eyes are different.
Yeah.
So that was just a small
tiny
thing
peppy,
that I was just like, that's interesting. Because more so because I was expecting like, oh, what's she going to look like? Because it's going to be insane.
She's going to have a gun for an arm.
And she kind of looked the same. So, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
All right, Mick, we've been waiting for 3 weeks.
Here we go.
I'm just kidding, guys. I didn't actually watch it.
You've got 25 minutes to wow us this episode.
I mean, yeah, again,
thanks for spoiling it, guys.
not to sound like a broken record, but I pretty much agree with everything you guys said. I can't really think of anything I really didn't like about the show, other than I thought there were 10 episodes because that's what it said on IMDb. So I was like,
really?
yes, there's one more.
Oh, no.
And then I guess it's for season 2. But
Jerks.
I know, yeah. But yeah, I think I said it last week where within the first 5 minutes of watching the first episode, I just instantly liked the show. And it reminds me of shows that I watched as a kid that, like, it's the feeling of remembering the show, you know, even if the show doesn't hold up from my childhood, it has that feeling of, like, I guess, like, instant nostalgia is the best way I could put it. But yeah, just a really
Felt very comfortable, the story. It felt like
very comfortable, very its own unique thing that I haven't seen in a show, I think, in a long time, especially a show about a video game that I've never played at all, you know. But yeah, voice acting was great. I kept like looking up on IMDb, like, oh, who is that? And the girl from Harry Potter, Cho, she plays Caitlin.
Oh, really?
And I can't hear her. Like, I know it's her, but I can't like hear her Harry Potter.
Well, she's doing a very different character.
Well, I think she has a different accent too, so that's it. But I'm like, I can't hear her. But
the other one, she's Asian. Like straight up Asian.
I think like Asian Scottish
American.
or something.
Oh, was it Asian Scottish?
Yeah.
Powder or Jinx sometimes sounded so much like Aquafina to me.
Really? Wait, which one? The younger or the older?
I think the older. At some points, I was like, "Is that Aquafina?"
Maybe she gets a little high and a little bit hyper.
There was just moments where I was like,
And Jonah instantly hated the show.
instantly, I like dropped. I was drinking, and I dropped my glass, and it just shattered. I was like, "No, I feel a disturbance."
It's the chick from
Don't put that on this.
It's the chick from Army of the Dead, right? Who plays Jinx?
Oh, Jonah's going to lie.
I don't know. No, I didn't.
It's Zack Snyder.
No, I looked it up and made sure it
What's her
wasn't
name?
her. So
Emily
it was fine.
something. What's her name?
Ella Purnell. Purnell.
I don't know.
No, it took him a year to cast this. Better be good. That's crazy.
But yeah, cinematography was great. I don't even know how to describe like the visual aspect because it looked 2D, but then it was definitely 3D.
It was both.
Which I think was a very
5D, 2Ds and the 3D.
Is that how the game looks, or is it
No.
is it really kind of its own thing?
No, the game's like overhead, kind
It's
of
like a Diablo
Like
type.
Warcraft.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Like Warcraft. Yeah.
So I love that. The music too. I even liked the
Ooh, I will say to your point, I think they got a lot of inspiration from their splash arts. So when they do custom skins and stuff like that to represent their characters, they have amazing artists making these amazing illustrations of these characters and their different skins and outfits and stuff like that. And if you look at them, you're like, yeah, that's where they got a lot of inspiration from because they always emphasized art over a lot of stuff in that game. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah. The music, I liked all the singing vocal parts.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think we're in the minority, actually, Jonah, me and you. I think a lot of people really like that.
To me,
I feel like it's because I'm a musician, you know. So
you jealous? You wanted to be singing?
You hear that Imagine Dragons?
I was like, oh man.
To me, it actually made me feel like it made the show feel more anime, which I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it brought that more up to surface
to some degree.
I think normally it would like a song playing like that would pull me out of a show, but with the exception of the Sting song, they're all source music, so they're happening in world.
Yeah,
like you can tell they play something on the jukebox, or Jinx plays something, and she's. I think one of the songs was while she's like working on something, and it's playing.
Yeah,
or Imagine Dragons is down there
and
just playing a band. So
it's live in the alleyways.
A lot of the stuff seemed to me like, oh, this is in.
They look dope. To be fair, they looked cool.
Yeah. That's what they're listening to. So that didn't really pull me up.
The diegetic music. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds like a stomach problem, but okay.
It's more. I think it's more of a personal preference.
Oh, yeah,
as
sure,
far as
sure.
like the music I like listening to. I'll give you an example. One of my favorite things from Red Dead Redemption 2 and the first one, but there's parts in the game where you're going back and kind of the guitar, and they put music in. Like those are my favorite. Just it fits so well, and that's part of my style of music. So this was a little more like Josh says, it's I guess more like in that world. So it's more like grungy. I don't know how to kind of describe it. It wasn't as melodic, and
They had moments though like that. They had a lot of songs that were.
But I feel like the one for me that hit was, and the reason it hit was more because it was Sting. But it just felt like it hit with that moment better.
Yeah.
The other ones to me was like, if it was a better song, and it's again, it comes down to my preference of what I like to listen to. So for me, there were those, like I said, in the first episode, the opening scene is when they're on the bridge and the smoke and the soldiers coming through and they murder their parents and this whole thing's happening. Like the music is incredible. It's like just strings and this orchestra going, and it's just... It's haunting, it's tragic, but it's just like so good. And then it goes into the opening, the title sequence, and it's Imagine Dragons, and it kind of goes into like an Imagine Dragons style. Yeah. And I just, for me, it was like my preference would have been keep those strings going through that title sequence because that's so good. But like I said, other people probably love Imagine that title sequence, and we're probably in the minority. But to me, it's like it's more of a preference thing. It didn't take away from the show. I don't think. To me, it was like, oh, that's stupid. But to me, it was like
moment, it's less impactful. I think
for me,
same here.
Just because it's just kind of like my style. Like I'd want a different style to it. I don't know. But
I will say I respect the strat that they did. Basically, like whenever they went underground, that's when the more upbeat word stuff would come out because it's more of this like underground neon lights,
dirty,
cool.
Let's inject ourselves.
Emo,
Imagine Dragons,
rebels, Imagine Dragons,
radioactive.
But yeah, the character development. I think the relationships between all the characters were great, but I think really the standout are the sisters' relationship. And I got a lot of like Star Wars vibes, like Vader, Luke, or Anakin and Obi-Wan, and I've always been drawn to that plot telling or
corruption, misunderstanding,
right? Yeah, betrayal,
just always missing each other.
Exactly.
End up being enemies.
I think that's always a strong way to tell a story like that. So I really latched onto that. I like that a lot.
Ethan and Jason last week when we were at soccer, Ethan was like, they had watched Arcane, the first 3 episodes. I think. Okay. So they had just watched like the sisters part, and Ethan was like, "Oh, the sisters!" I started crying, just thinking it's like me and Jason, brothers. And I was like, nice. But that goes to what you're saying is that relationship is done so well, and yes, even to my reaction of being upset,
it's supposed to be like that,
right? I know it's supposed to be like
you're
that.
supposed to be like, you're so close, just go back and get her, but you're like, she can't.
Well, that's
because
the
she
thing.
has all these people with him,
right?
That's
the thing. That's when good storytelling is that when you hate those moments because you're like, you idiot, go back there.
Well,
Don't yell at her.
And she would,
right?
But then the guard guy was like, you can't beat them. Like I'm gonna chloroform you and
and so for me, it's kind of like it makes you annoyed because you're like like it wasn't her fault.
It's supposed to be that,
way. And there's the opposite side where people are like, she's such an idiot. Why'd she do that? But to me, it was more like
justified.
To me, I see it more as like they were gonna die anyway. The other thing that I like too is like when she becomes crazy and bad, is she has that like guy sitting there.
Yeah, her creepy friends.
It's so
people
good.
she killed is like basically there. So it's that kind of stuff. Is like it's creepy, but it's not done in a way that's like over the top. You know what I'm saying? Like there was rarely a moment where it's like, oh, let's show it. It was kind of more like in the background. And if you notice it, you're like, oh my gosh, that's. But and then it goes to something else. It was never. I guess my problem with a lot of things nowadays is like overindulgent whether that's gore or whether that's violence or whether that's cussing or even sexualizing things.
Yep.
It's overdone to a point where you're like The Witcher. The Witcher gets like over the top with that kind of stuff. You're like, it doesn't need it. This to me felt good because it was like the story comes first and the relationships come first, and then all that other stuff is done in a way that it doesn't distract from what the story is. And I think when you're saying like it's a modern masterpiece, I wouldn't go that far because
Zack Snyder's Justice League exists.
But there can be more than one masterpiece.
No, yeah,
I think animation. This is a masterpiece.
No, but I'm
name
saying
a better animation in the last like 5 years.
Do it.
What, Enter the Spider-Verse? I think that's like number 2.
Yeah, I mean as animation goes,
Yeah.
What if? Of course, masterpiece. No, but what I'm saying is,
My bad. I forgot.
Where I kind of say this is really good for me and would be up in that point is that aspect. It didn't overindulge in that or didn't go to the extremes of it. It was just done just right to the point where it's like it all helped the story and served the story and the characters.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the triumph of this show is that it's just everything works in harmony together. Like I said, there's probably 2 scenes, the Imagine Dragons scene that I was like, and then the sex scene.
Yep.
That to me was
That's
like
exactly
that
my
to me
issues.
was like
Yep. It just went on too long.
It just went on too long. It was like, okay,
exactly.
Like, to me, it was like we get the idea.
And for some people, it won't even raise an eyebrow at
Right.
it. For us, we're a little bit more sensitive to it, but
But those are the only, and everything else I thought was like flawless in that aspect, and
timing was great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, those in a world where everything kind of is to the extremes, like we need this extreme violence, we needed all this blood, gore, all this stuff. This was done like perfectly, because it served the story.
Yeah. I like that every character has like their own point of view, and like at no point was I like, that doesn't make sense. Like there's no like everything they do, every action they take makes sense.
Yeah.
Like even Jace, who was the person that probably I got the most frustrated with.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of getting manipulated a lot, and you're like,
but
what are you doing?
Yeah.
But it all kind of makes sense and fits. And even like I like where he is kind of like figuring out.
I like where he ended up though.
I like that he brings it to the
Maybe.
how he brings it to the council. He's like, hey, we need to stop what's going on down there.
Dead.
We need to stop what's going on down there, and we're gonna make a deal because I don't want to go to war with everybody.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then Vi's like, what are you freaking doing? Like you're burying your head in the sand like you've always done.
Yeah.
Like you're not helping the situation. And I really like that dynamic because in my mind, I would have been like, yeah, you don't want to go to war and like destroy everybody down there either. Like that's probably compromise. And she's like, no, you're an idiot. Like I'm from there and I'm telling you that you need to kill him.
Yep.
So I thought that was really cool. And then that scene where he shoots the kid,
you're like, dude. That was so good. I mean, not good, but
that's good.
It was good because man, the weight and everything just upped the level of everything. It was so good, and Jace was just.
Those guys were sweet too.
Yeah,
the guys with like the
armor
suits, and then they would get the stuff in there, and then they had like the sweet blades
jacked up. Yeah, dude.
I want to say too the choreography, and a lot of times I think in animation it can seem a little weightless.
Yes.
Kind of not that important, but there's something about the choreography in the
punches,
show that
the jumps, the slices,
all of it. It had weight, and and they were telling a story in the choreography, which I think a lot of people miss nowadays.
I kept thinking I wanted a Star Wars show
in this art,
like in that art,
bro.
Like that style. You could totally do like Old Republic, like Jedis and Sith, like 10 on 10.
Just make Ezra the new League of Legends champion and put him in the story.
Yeah.
Dude, let's go.
So that would be the art. Yeah, was fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah, I really do believe that some animations coming out in the next 5 to 10 years are going to be modeling their stuff after them because it was just so well done and it's so unique too. Yeah. I saw some people on Twitter posting just screenshots mid-show. They looked like their own art pieces.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. It really shows the care that they took for framing every scene. You know, the cinematography is great.
It it did remind me a little bit of the completely different, but I was watching Unbreakable the other day, and that movie is like shot specifically wherever you stop it to look like a graphic novel.
Yeah.
And this was kind of even the shots in this show were similar in that, where it's like if you stop it, it looks like concept art. You know, like as if concept art went directly from the page to the screen. You know, it's just that gorgeous in that. And I keep going back to a lot of the bridge stuff from the first episode to then where they have that battle when the butterflies go through, like, and it's shot from above, and you just kind of see they just light up, like that kind of stuff was like, oh, that's so sick.
I like how they brought it always back to that bridge.
Yeah.
You know, it's that representation of the separation between up and down, you know, Piltover and Zahn. And it was just, love it. I love I love how at the end they're just like, with the council, they're like, we're going to give them everything they want. And then Jinx fires the rocket at them.
Yeah. The ending was
just so good.
The ending was sweet too, because then the rocket goes there and you see it like flash, and like you see the like her drawing basically on the just just the way that everything's shot is awesome.
I don't know the councilwoman's name, the one who Jace was into, but like her armor like lights up.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
probably something's gonna happen to save him to some degree, but because we don't know what type of power she holds.
Yeah.
Or because I think
her mom was annoying.
Her
she's
mom was super creepy, bro.
The
dude. That's the other one. The dude massaging her all the time. I was like, God, get this guy. God, this guy. You're lingering on his face too long.
Yeah.
He was like,
he looks pretty annoying too.
I do like how they teased Noxus as a different nation, and they showed how brutal that like someone can be from there, and that's like this. Her mom is just the cusp of Noxus, and so it's cool that they're kind of setting up future story stuff that they can do.
See, I like that
exciting
name. I like that name.
Noxus. It's a really good name.
Piltover. I don't like
Piltover. Weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the point.
You know, like
scientific.
I want LotR. You know?
Yeah.
Alderaan.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, do you guys want to give your scores?
Sure. Yeah, you want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 10 out of 10 for
10 out of 10 already.
That's what a masterpiece is.
I'm going to tell you guys that
he's breaking his rule.
A 10.
He's breaking his rule.
I'm famous in saying this, that a 10 is impossible because you don't know what's going to be released later.
Season 2.
So you're saying that 10 is perfect. It couldn't be improved. So they're not getting a 10 because I didn't like some scenes and some of the stuff wasn't as good.
Man of integrity.
I think the music was my biggest gripe. Everything else was so good, guys. Like, oh man, you were getting me a little bit goosebumpy talking about stuff. When Jonah says something inspiring like that, you got to get some goosebumps. I think I give this thing a freaking 9.8. For me, that's insanity.
That's up there.
9.8, and I'm a little biased because I'm so familiar with the characters. But yeah, I love the show.
Is there any Cloud9 cameos in?
No.
Any little shout outs?
I wish.
Corey's in season 2.
I wish. No, they would never reference esports. That's stupid. It's all about the story and the characters. But man, couldn't be happier. I would say that. Sorry, before you guys rate yours, I'm sorry to kind of mess this up, but I will say another gripe. This is the last thing that I have.
You already scored it. You can't gripe anymore.
Is that, and this is why it doesn't get a 9.9, is because, well, how are they going to handle characters who are champions? Are they just
I don't know
plot armor? The characters in the game that you can play are called champions.
Yeah.
Or I guess they're called legends. I guess we call them champions.
They're League of
called
Legends.
leagues.
I guess they're legends. But anyway, Jinx, is she ever going to die? Probably not. So that's a thing that I might have an issue with it because of that plot armor. And it's like Spider-Man can't die.
Well, it was the same
But
thing.
there's so many champions.
I assume because when the explosion happened, Jinx and then the Hawk Boy,
Echo.
Right.
So I assume he's a champion too.
Yes.
Right. So everyone else on the bridge got obliterated.
Yeah.
And then they both survived.
Correct.
Yep. that to me was like, oh, okay, I get it because they're main characters, but it was, and then he was kind of not hurt at all, really. He was just kind of like, ugh.
Oh, I broke my ankle or something.
Yeah, but then he got to the place and
ankle.
he's like, well, good. And the other girls had to like, they were in the same spot, so it was like, and she barely made it, right? Because they ended up fighting each other, and then she
was on top.
But if it's his explosions, he probably had them like, "Hey, don't blow up on me." Maybe they have some kind of like coding that says, "Hey, maybe not me as much as the enemy." I would guess, but anyway.
But I'm just saying that goes to your point of
and,
like, are they ever going to be able to die?
Yeah, and I'm saying like it's not perfect, but everything was so amazing, and I just 9.8 solid.
Cool.
Chew.
It's a good question. I kind of want to go 10.
Do though.
I really didn't. There's like really nothing that I didn't like about it.
Yeah, it's me and Jonah who are really picking apart.
I'm having a hard time thinking of something.
I'm gonna go with 10.
Okay,
I'll give it a 10.
It's a perfect score. What are we here?
dude,
IGN?
Wow, that's our
right.
first 10.
IGN gave it a 10, guys.
That's our first. Well, they give them out like candy.
GameSpot?
GameStop, GameSpot, GameShop.
GameStop.
Me going?
Jonah, yeah, go ahead.
I'll give it a 9.5.
I said it. I was said in my mind. If you said 9.5, anything lower than 9.5, we'd fight. Okay. Mick, you can say anything you want. You can say a 3 if you wanted.
10.
Yeah.
What? Hey, guys, what a positive show we created today.
I literally can't think of anything that. I mean, I'm sure there's like
you
some
didn't
little
have-
piddly stuff, but it's not
Piddly
It's,
stuff.
it's
Stuff.
not.
All that stuff you brought up.
Piddly.
It's not. It's not. It's not anywhere enough for me to knock it down a little bit. So yeah, 10.
That's the title of the show. Piddly stuff.
piddly stuff.
Nice.
Two
Modern
10s.
day masterpiece. I really think so. I think that season 2 will be interesting to see what they can do. It's always hard when you do so well off the
How
first
do you follow up a home run?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends.
Another home run.
It just depends on how
Inside
much
the
time
park?
they have.
Home run?
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's the best score we've given anything.
Yeah.
Here.
I think so, and it's well deserved. It was a great show, and I can't wait to
About time we got
season
something.
2.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd give Ghostbusters a 9.5.
Shut up. Just because you cried.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Good.
Just cried.
Easy, dude.
Tears
Easy
equals
mode.
9
If
plus.
you haven't watched Arcane, it's on Netflix. As you can see, we would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Even if you listen to us and didn't care
It's
about
still
spoilers,
worth it.
It's worth a watch.
Yeah.
We didn't go into a lot of details of like what story happens. We
That
just kinda-
is true.
So you probably, if you haven't watched it, you're just hearing names. So I would definitely check it out.
Absolutely.
We're getting to the end of the show here.
Yeah, just a couple things I want to talk about. We kind of forgot to in news, but Josh and I have been watching Hawkeye. We watched the first 2 episodes. Just give a kind of a brief thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, overall, that's the new Marvel show that's going to be coming out every week, so we'll probably be reviewing it. But I like the first 2 episodes. I really like Haley Steinfeld.
I do too.
Connection from she's
Arcane.
Vi from Arcane, so I really like her as an actress.
I gotta watch it
Hawkeye,
now.
10 out of 10.
And I like Jeremy Renner
Modern
also.
day.
Yeah, I like his portrayal in the show of just he's tired and he has other things on his mind, and I think they have good chemistry.
Yeah, I'll have some deeper thoughts next week.
Yeah, next week. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying it.
Yeah,
Awesome. Check it out. We'll talk about it more next week. Check us out on Instagram.
One more thing.
Okay.
You got
One
1
more
minute.
thing.
30 seconds.
Morbius, the poster.
Oh, poster 6.
Yeah, poster's great. We've talked about
The hand
crap
one.
posters.
Yeah, the
before,
hand
so-
we need more movie posters like that.
Yes. Anyway,
Instagram,
Great.
Facebook, YouTube. The video should be up. And yeah, check us out next week. And thanks for hanging out with us.
yeah. Thank you guys.
See you later.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.